Hello,
yes.
hello.
You know what? It's funny, isn't it now? Morgs, got Morgs dancing in the corner. Hello and welcome to World Cup Wednesday. I'm here. Jay's here.
I'm here.
But unfortunately, our guy Chris is not here, and he's going to be absolutely fuming because this was the one that he wanted. This is Italy. I'm going to go full. It's Italia 90 for World Cup Wednesday this week on EPL Across the Pond, where we take a look back at previous World Cups in the build-up to this year's USA, Mexico, Canada 2026. But yeah, and if you want it and you haven't done it already, you can follow us at EPL Across the Pond on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. And the hashtag for today is World Cup Wednesday. I'm sure Chris will, when the power comes back on in Detroit, I am sure he will join us. But until then, Jay, you are stuck with me, mate. How are you doing?
I'm great, mate. I'm great. I feel sorry for Chris. Hopefully we'll see him. I don't think we've had an Englishman cry more than Chris is crying right now since Gaza in 1990, right?
It's quite ironic, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Same thing again. So we'll dive in for 1990. But before we start, again, if anyone's got something to say, if anyone wants to jump in the comments, I know we have a couple of little followers now as well that drag us along. If you've got an opinion, reach out to us in the comments. If you've got any questions or things you want to talk about regarding Italy 90, definitely bring it up. There's a lot to go at. But
I think this has got to be the one for lots of comments, right? If anyone our age, this has got to be a big one for them, right? On the old memory bank.
It is. All right, the first question before we get into our first impressions of the tournament is, which player at Italia 90 became the second oldest player in World Cup history at the age of 38? That's your first question for tonight. All right, mate, go on then. What have you got? When you think about Italia 90, what are you thinking?
So this is the first one for me, the first real one that I remember. I was nine and a half, and just the first time to, watch a tournament on TV during the summer, see all these games, see all these different teams, and starting to learn about, learning more about the England players, but then, Roberto Baggio, Valderrama, right? Then Scalacci comes on the scene, and just you get to see more and more of these players. Then teams like Cameroon that you'd never seen play ever before, and you just loving every minute of it. And it was like there was just TV to watch. It was a good time for us because of the difference being similar. Then you've got all the memorabilia, all the cool things, the stickers and everything else that we can chat about, that we could collect. And I just felt like as a kid, this was unreal. And then I think because England went to the semis as well, you're like, this is all right. I can deal with this every 4 years, right? And then things changed quite drastically after that. But it was a lot of fun to really understand and appreciate what it meant to experience a real World Cup,
No, it was as well. I'm going to throw this question on the screen for our guy, SAS, because he comes in and he tunes in every week. So we'll throw that back up on because I know he came a little bit late into the room. But do you know what the first thing that struck me? Because again, for me, and we'll get to it. We always do. And I always say we'll get to it. But the thing that stood out to me more than anything else was the stadiums. Like, it was the first time as a kid that I'd seen the San Siro.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that the Stadio dell'Alpi, which, where England, famously lost on penalties. And it was the first experience of losing on penalties and then realizing just how ironic that was through the whole of our pretty much adolescence and as we got older as well. And it's funny now, I looked this up before. Stadio dell'Alpi was built for this tournament, and now it does. Juventus don't even play there. Nobody plays there anymore. I'm not sure if Torino still play there. Don't know.
You think as well, 1990 is so long ago, really, right? That's the other thing. So
we're closer. 1990 is closer to 1966 than we are to 1990 now, which is unbelievable for me.
Right. You're right. The stadiums at the time just seemed amazing too, didn't they? Because we were, again, the summer of 1990. So we were watching. There she is. We were watching the big match, right, on a Sunday afternoon, and the English stadium seemed so old. And then you see, the San Siro vividly, those circular columns in the corners, right? Just it seemed space age, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was like, wow, imagine going to this and seeing this kind of thing. And they were ahead of the time at the time, and that obviously transitioned into the Italian league in the early 90s too, right? And the dominance and the talent that then came through.
Yeah, I always think of the Genoa one as well. Was it Genoa where Ireland won?
Yeah.
And Ireland won on penalties, but I just remember it was like castles in the corner, and
Yeah.
and it's funny. A friend of mine goes to Italy games regularly. Like he goes to an Italia, he'll fly in on a Thursday and he'll try and catch 4 or 5 games over a weekend and then come back. But he takes pictures and he's at Genoa and he's at the San Siro, and I'm like, I've still never been, and it's a killer for me.
Yes, yeah, and those are the classic stadiums, and everything's like a bowl now and futuristic in it and all the rest of it. But yeah, there was definitely something special about those stadiums. Absolutely.
It was definitely special about the memorabilia, because we were talking about this before as well. Do you remember these beauties? I don't know. I'm presuming this might have just been an English thing. I don't know if it was all over the place, but do you remember these?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can zoom in on your screen, but they released, obviously these are the England-Scotland ones, but they released, it was the SO, was it, how did you get them? Like you'd fill up with petrol or something and then you would get them.
I can't remember, because they also did the countries, didn't they?
That was it, yeah.
So they're countries as well, and it was definitely something to do with getting the petrol, the gas, filling up the car.
That's it, gas.
Probably,
yeah, sorry.
It was probably like, I mean, as a kid, you just got them, right? Mum and dad would get them for you, like they would get you anything else. So I don't know whether to spend £10 and you get one, or just every time you went, you got one. I don't know what the reasoning was, but it was all through going to the
garage,
petrol station, the garage, right, the gas station, to do that. I'm gonna have to ask my mum. Maybe she'll remember.
I'm trying to think which, because you would. I don't think I was. There's no way we had the book. We definitely had the coins, but there's no way I had the book. But I'm just trying to think which person I had the most of.
See, I don't remember the people, but I remember the countries absolutely vividly. And I had a book, and they went in the spaces, and I had United Arab Emirates was like the common one, you know, because we'd swap them at school, like stickers. And everyone had enough United Arab Emirates, and you just had a handful of coins to try and swap. And I'll tell you a little funny story, just, you know, and one of the things that sticks out is like, this is when I learned that Uruguay, I'm only 9, by the way, but this is when I learned that Uruguay was Uruguay, because I used to call them Urgery.
Brilliant.
I remember getting ridiculed for that one.
Was this up to last week?
This was just this morning when I was asking Krista about countries. But they were brilliant. And then like, I don't know, I just threw everything away as kids. I don't know what we did with it. Like, we didn't keep anything, which is so disappointing.
Do you know what I'm fuming about? That I didn't keep these absolute beasts. Remember these?
Mate, the best.
Mate, they were different colours, right? You could get red and white ones, and then you had red, green, and white, and people would just smash them around all over the place.
Oh, mate, they were brilliant. And then gold. There was a gold version, which I don't know how you got it. Whether it did you? I think you had to send off the Coca-Cola ring pools or something again. If memory serves correct. But
this is me going back to I don't think we were allowed to drink like too many fizzy drinks. Right. So I never used to go. I think I used to find these. That's what it was. Like, maybe you'd get 1 or 2 of them and then find the rest of them.
100% scavenging like round the bins and stuff.
Yeah, honestly, like someone would just volley it and would go somewhere flying, and then that was it. But
they were brilliant. Yeah, because they were that perfect little weight just to kick around in the playground, and it was mate.
Do you know what's funny as well? I don't know if you've noticed this. This is a little bit off topic, but have you noticed this trend now? Like, obviously, I'm working in a school. People are starting to use hacky sacks again.
Oh, really?
And I just think to myself, if they just had these balls, they would know how good these balls were. They were outstanding. Yeah, they were outstanding. But yeah, no, that, and then the sticker album was the one as well.
Yeah,
this was the first one where I think I had a proper sticker album for it.
Yeah,
and then also the World Cup, the
wall chart.
Have you got one for this year yet?
You know, no, I have to now. Now you've said it. But I think that was another thing for me as well, because I remember then you wrote the names in for the groups and everything.
Yeah,
like from the start. And I think you even could do like the full group, like played, goals scored, goals against, like, so there was a lot of interaction with a piece of paper, and it was like the holy grail, this wall chart, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was proper, wasn't it? I do remember it well.
Devastated if you made a mistake.
Oh yeah, and like if you wrote it in pen, you were fuming.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's just funny, isn't it? The way it was.
I'd love to see. If someone's got one, or I'd love to see one in person. It'd be
I'll
like
tell you, I can almost guarantee you that Morgs has got one.
That'd be like the Declaration of Independence, right? Make sure it's behind some bulletproof glass.
It's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be, hasn't it? Any other pointers before we move on? I've got to give this answer out. A couple of people have got it right in the comments already, but
no, I'm looking forward to talking about a few other things. Yeah, looking forward to some of the treats to still unwrap here.
There is some little bits. I don't know. The first thing that Morgs would say is about, I'm waiting for you. I was promised that you were going to do the rap today, but I think we might have to wait until the end, because if Morgs comes back, then you're definitely going to have to.
With the rap if you want it. I mean, I printed the lyrics.
I'm sure. Listen, we'll see what happens. All right. Okay. So the question was, to start off with, which player at Italia 90 was the second oldest at the age of 38? And 2 people got it right in the comments already. It was, of course, Roger Milla. I will not be doing the celebration because that'll put me out of action for at least a week. But interesting stat, right, Jay? You had this one before.
Roger Milla.
This is a great trivia question. If Sal's still watching, this is a great trivia question, mate.
Great one. Didn't start a game. He was a sub in every game he came on for. He only played in 4. That one game he didn't come on for, and he did not start in the game against the Soviet Union. He came on in the first half, but they lost 4-0 in that game, so it didn't really work out. But yeah, he didn't start a game. Came on a sub, and had a massive impact. 4 goals, and was impactful in the quarterfinal. And yeah, just it was a legend, wasn't he? And the dance, the corner flag dance was brilliant. Yeah,
no, it was good, wasn't it? It was decent. And that was another one as well. Like, you never heard of Cameroon.
No.
And they beat Argentina in the first round, in the first game.
Yeah.
Because Argentina were the holders, and was it Oman Biek scored the goal against Argentina in the first game? It was ridiculous.
Didn't the keeper come out or was that a Colombia? Maybe it was Colombia when
René Higuita came flying off his line, probably, yeah.
It was one of them.
Right. We are going to move on to my favourite bit. You know, this is my favourite bit as well. But before we do, which 3 countries made their World Cup debuts at Italia 90? So which 3 countries made their World Cup debuts at Italia 90? All right. The answers to this one are interesting. All right. We'll go on to first of all, we'll go on to the ball. I feel like they didn't really make many changes to the ball.
No.
It was pretty similar to Mexico 86. Still a cracker.
Pretty standard. Yeah, great ball. And actually, on a quick side note, during this time as well, me and my brother had mini balls of this in red and yellow, which I remember having.
See, you must have been posh. I never had these balls when we were kids. We never had this when we were kids.
Mini ones. And I had a red one, he had a yellow one. And it came in a little net, so you could carry it around in a net.
Oh, my. Yeah, that's posh, that.
So, but you just swing it and smack each other with the ball in the net. Was what we did more than anything, but...
All right. Now, I feel bad here because the kits that I've got are just the home kits, which kills me, especially because the best kit of this World Cup is arguably behind me over here. This one.
A nice little Romania job, yeah.
But if you look...
The Cameroon away is also very fancy too. I do like that.
I like the Scotland away on this one. Scotland away was... I can't find it, but if there's any Scotsmen watching, if anyone watches
blue
this...
and yellow stripe... sort of zigzaggy bit, right?
Yeah, it was white and it had a blue stripe and yellow stripes across it. I think they played against, so I can't remember, they played Costa Rica in it, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
But the one for me is the Colombia one. The home and away Colombia. The Germany kit's good as well.
Yeah, I mean those 90s Adidas kits are always great, weren't they?
Yeah.
The Colombia, Romania, very similar. I mean, the Germany's just classic, isn't it? That red and white and black. I don't know what you call that. A zigzaggy ski slope kind of.
Yeah, I can't remember. It started to come back, didn't he? Brought it back in the old Germany kits as well. But with 86 and 90, and I think this lends itself well to the conversation about this World Cup. Like, culturally, this World Cup set the standard, I think, for certain things. Like, if you think about this, and for those people who are absolute nerds, a lot of the Adidas kits are Adidas originals, and 86 was Adidas originals as well. But 94 was the first time they went to Adidas equipment, which was a different type of kit. There was some right funky kits in there, but these are like the last time of classics. And where is the There's Krista now popping in. The US. I don't even see the US one. Where is it?
Bottom line, third from left.
Not terrible.
Next to Uruguay, next to Urgery.
Yeah, not to Urgery, yeah. But like, it wasn't like this just shows like the standard that this World Cup set. He's here now. You know what? I'd love to. USA did make it. Caligiuri. Sal, you're gonna have to tell me if I got that right. Caligiuri. He scored, and you know what? For the US, they scored. This is the first time that the US were in the tournament for 40 years. And this Paul Caligiuri character, he scored the goal against Trinidad and Tobago in the qualifiers to get them to the World Cup. So, yeah, that's that one as well. And he makes and SAS makes a great point as well, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. All right, I am all over the Colombia kit, mate. That's why I've got the red one. That's why I've got the red one on the wall.
Real quick as well, the Holland one, the Lotto, that was a little. I like that as well back in the day.
People forget though as well. I don't know. Like I don't know if you would remember this though. But I remember England as a kid hating Holland because they would always put us out the tournaments. Yeah. They beat us in 88 in the Euros.
Yeah,
and then and everyone fancied them for this tournament, but it was just You know what? It's right as well. Yeah, thanks, mate.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Been watching Sopranos, haven't I? But so it was just better. Lost me train of thought. Now I got a compliment about being Italian. I was going to start saying commendatore.
Right. Keep it going. We'll switch the whole thing to Italian for the second half, right?
No, absolutely. That'd be a disaster. It'd be like Del Boy.
Not hating Holland because they were always.
So the kits were great, and there was always something that happened with Holland and England, like Koeman diving or dragging someone down, not getting sent off, and then England not getting to the Euros or not getting to the World Cup in '94 because of it. And it's just that kit just kills me. So I remember that, and we'll get to that game in a bit, won't we? But it was, it did me head in. It proper did me head in. Yeah. All right. Okay. Answer to the question. Which 3 countries made their World Cup debuts at Italia 90? Few people in the comments got them, I think.
All right.
Could you know off the top of your head?
I do know.
Go on then.
United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
Republic of Ireland and Costa Rica.
I know Costa Rica famously beat Scotland as well. And the reason I know that, I don't know if Scottish Mark is watching, but it was always, so I used to watch Rab C. Nesbitt as a kid. And there's a Rab C. Nesbitt episode. It's about an hour long and it's just called Football. And it's about football and it's about Rab C. Nesbitt going to the World Cup. And then just the Costa Rica bit when Costa Rica beat them. It just sticks with me. Like I can never stop laughing at it. It's always funny. All right, before we go to the games,
they'll be all right this year, Scotland.
I'm looking forward to seeing Scotland play this year. That's why I've got the top up on the thing as well. All right, before we go to the games, because I know you've got a comprehensive list. Which 4 countries competed for the last time at World Cup 90? Oh, I've missed the word out. Under their former names. So which 4 countries competed for the last time at World Cup 90 under their former names? Think about that one.
Trivia question there like that.
Not bad, that one, is it? It's gettable. It's gettable. That's why we like it.
It is. And keeps people going as well. A few things have been mentioned already. If you're paying attention, you might have a few answers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it helps when we throw the kits up and then people get a choice then to pick which people haven't actually played.
Right.
All right. So do you want to go first on the games? Like we've already talked about, we could talk about anything you want here. We could talk about the games. We could talk about certain players if you want within those certain games.
I mean, I'm going to start it at the start. Group A and Italy and Czechoslovakia for my first game that I just sort of sticks out again because there's a lot for many reasons, right? And it was Roberto Baggio. So Italy won 2-0. Roberto Baggio scored this wonderful solo goal for the second goal for Italy. And that's the first game that on my list purely because, it's all of a sudden, hey, look at this guy Baggio. And I remember the blue and the number 15. I'm weird with numbers. And it's like something that sticks out because obviously he's an iconic number 10. But it was a great goal. And then you just hear more and more about him. And obviously it was like getting to see these superstars or these soon to be superstars. So that was my first game on the list because of that reason. That opened up the eyes to more than just England and some of these amazing players that are on other teams, you know.
That's it. I mean, and it was a cracking goal as well. But obviously, through copyright and everything else, we can't show it. We're not allowed. So go up and show it. I'll try and get a footage of it and stick it on the Instagram and the Facebook pages, because it really was a good goal, wasn't it? He's gone. Yeah. He's probably ran from the halfway line, and he's similar to Maradona, but maybe not as there wasn't as much contact because Baggio was a little bit more. They were all paying attention to his ponytail.
Little 1-2 with someone, but still, you know, just a glimpse of what we were going to see in the rest of the 90s with that guy, you know.
Yeah, and I've got to give a little bit of a shout out as far as games go. Given that it was the first time in 40 years that the US went to the World Cup, they got slapped in the first game 5-1 by the Czechs, and they got beat 2-1 in the last game by Austria, I believe. Mm-hmm. But the game in the middle is the one that stands out, and people will talk about this, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but they played Italy and they lost 1-0. And when you think of the US team at that time, it was players like Tony Meola, it was players like John Harkes. They even had a young Casey Keller on the bench, former Tottenham Leicester goalie, who played in the Prem for a couple of years. Tab Ramos played as well. Like these players... Right? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And these players are ones that obviously they set the tone there in 90. 94 was in the US, so those guys were all household names by that point. But those guys kind of laid the foundations to what was the MLS, and then obviously the MLS reinvented himself. Like they kind of got it going again. So it is worth throwing that out, even though they got walloped in the first game. The game against Italy is the one that stands out because if you read the reports, they were recognized for their resilience and just hard-working attitude.
Right? They really were college kids still, or fresh out of college for the most part, right? They weren't seasoned pros.
Well, there was no league. There was no league over here.
Right.
They were college kids. I mean, I think John Harkes was at Derby or maybe Sheffield Wednesday.
They're sprinkling in Europe, but it wasn't the full team, right?
Because didn't John Harkes, in 1991, at the end of the season after this, didn't he score the winner in the League Cup final for Sheffield Wednesday? Or...
I don't know.
92. He did. I'm sure he did. I'm almost going to say that he did.
Sounds familiar.
It might have been 90. Was it 91 or 92? I can't remember, but I'm sure United got beat. And Man United got beat. And look at this. Is Tab Ramos the underrated player? Maybe if he hadn't absolutely walloped Leonardo in 94, it might have been a little bit different for him. But he was a good player. Very good player. All right, what other games have you got for me? I'm leaving I'm getting off my soapbox now, my American soapbox.
So one more group game we'll touch on real quick, and you already sort of mentioned it, was Cameroon beating Argentina. And again, I think Cameroon are thrust into our living rooms, aren't they? Because you've never heard of this team, and Argentina are the defending champions. Diego Maradona, they're not going to lose to some team that we've never heard of, and lo and behold, they did. It's like 1-0, and the celebrations, the dancing, that green kit with the big lion on it. Just, I remember that wave of everyone excited by Cameroon, right? So another great group game that just kind of brought that whole World Cup into your life, as opposed to just watching the England games or being focused on England, which was really cool. So that was an interesting one. But then if we jump into the round of 16, couple here as well, a couple of heavyweight games: Brazil, Argentina, Holland, West Germany. Brazil, Argentina was 1-0 to Argentina. Caniggia scored the goal, Claudio Caniggia. And I remember Morgs actually was just chatting to us this week when he said, like Brazil hit the post or the bar like 4 times.
If you watch the highlights of that game, Brazil absolutely battered Argentina. Like post, they must have. I think it was the most times any team has hit the woodwork in a World Cup game. I think they hit the post about 4 or 5 times. Yeah. Saves, shots dragged wide, and then like in the 80, I don't know, it was late in the game, Caniggia goes around the goalie and scores.
Yeah. And it was little in the tight net, and he just pops it in. Yeah.
Oh, that was another thing, about this World Cup was the nets.
Yeah.
They were tied so far back, but the nets weren't very deep, and they had like the bending. Oh, mate. Yeah. It's like football porn, isn't it? It's brilliant. Right. Like that's exactly what it is. It's just everything about football. It's brilliant.
Yeah. But I mean, that was like, I mean, Argentina, you know, and we can talk more about the final in a bit, but you know, they scraped through the group in third place, then they scrape past Brazil, then the next two games they win on penalties, and they're in the final, and it's
And
crazy.
they had like Goycochea was in goal, wasn't he? Because the regular goalie got injured. I think he broke his leg.
Yeah, in the
And
second game.
Goycochea was absolutely reckless. Like he would be off his line. He was good in penalty shootouts, but he was just absolutely reckless. The fact that they got so far with him in goal as well was another thing. Yeah,
it might have been the Yugoslavia quarterfinal when the ball's going out and he's gonna like palm it, and he palmed it back in and it hit the post and came back out. Like absolutely clueless. But
it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know, back to that Cameroon thing again? Like, you know when teams come into World Cups and you think to yourself, "This is great." Like they really, they get on it. Like I think about like Cameroon in 1990. I think about Paraguay in 98 with Chilavert. Just the randomness of it. I think about Senegal in 2002 when they beat France with that team with Diop and
Saudi Arabia in 94.
Yeah, right? All these random teams that just bring and like you said then, just to capture the spirit of the World Cup, and it just brings a different set of fans, it just brings attention to a country. Because again, Cameroon have gone on and produced some fantastic players, haven't they? Obviously Eto'o, and there's been players along the way, and again, with us being younger, just us being introduced to that, it's great, isn't it? It just makes that it's a cultural thing, this World Cup.
Yeah,
because I'm going to strike it down in a minute, but it's such a cultural thing.
And I think, sorry, mate, go on.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
and I think another thing as well, the more we talk about it, it's special as well because there's no internet to go and Google it all, right? I don't know who Roger Miller is until Roger Miller appears scoring these goals and then wiggling his butt on the corner flag with the rest of his teammates. And it's like, this is unreal because like England players score and they run off with a hand in the air and that's it, right? So it was great to see that, and it was great to learn a little bit, and then you read it in the newspaper and that was it, or your magazine, your football magazine. And I think nowadays the kids that will get into it, they're arguably ruined because they can just go and Google anything and everything. And it's great that they can do that to learn the stuff, but I think there's some magic about discovering it fresh without any other.
So when Russia, when I'm going to use another anecdote from school, but when Russia 2018 was on and the games were earlier in the day, so I think over here it was like 9, 12 and 3.
Yeah.
Like I would get a big screen in school and put the games on in the gym, in the sports hall. And like, because it's winding down towards the end of the year, they watch the games on the screen. And kids are asking me, like, where's this team from? Where's this? Like, they're talking about this country. I didn't realize they had a team, and they're finding out that way. Like, that's the way I think. But like, you're right. It's such a lost art now. You're going to get certain kids who are into it, and there's big kids that go to this year's tournament because the families can get tickets or whatever. But it's not going to be like what we would do, like charting it on a chart and not wanting to miss games and watching it on the telly at night.
I mean, Curacao, as I'm saying, right? Curacao.
Oh, there's some teams in the Cape Verde, Haiti are in it. Yeah.
Like, if you've never seen them, to see them would be amazing. But now it's like, well, I'll Google them and I can see it. And everything's televised. So I watched some of the that qualification because of where we're located, obviously. So I would have it on the TV. So it's great to see. But there's that little bit of magic that it's already gone. It's like a kid waiting for Christmas, isn't it? Like that. You don't know what quite to expect until it's there.
That's it. We're gonna treat. We've got. I know SAS is chomping at the bit here. There's a lot to unpack about that one as well. But about Maradona and his impact on this World Cup as well, especially because he was huge at the time. He was playing in Naples for Napoli. I think he just recently won the league for them. He was a god in that. I mean, still is, but at the time he had a bit of a rough run, especially when he knocked them out. But we'll get to those in a minute. Any other games that stand out? I still remember Ireland, Romania, the penalties.
Yeah, penalties. Yeah.
David O'Leary scores that penalty, and then because they always used to recreate it on Phoenix and the Flames, and he did it in like some park with jumpers for goalposts and all the rest of it. But I thought that was brilliant. The England games were good. I mean, they were crap in the group stages because wasn't there like some weird? It was like goals scored. I think wasn't this the one where Ireland and Italy didn't need to score, so they just stopped playing? or something like that
It
in the
could
group stages.
that definitely happened at some point, because I think it wasn't until '94 when they all played the last games at the same time, right? If memory
That was it,
serves
yeah.
correct,
Yeah.
because of that reason. But yeah, I mean, I think because if England hadn't beaten Egypt, we may not have gone through. That's another one. Egypt was another team that, like, how can they give us problems to play football? Because you're so it's such a small little bubble. And it's brilliant to see that there's good teams, there's good players from all over the world, which is fantastic. But yeah, the England's group was awful.
But then once they got through, I mean, they got Belgium in the next round.
Yeah,
and Belgium were they were up at emerging side as well. He had Enzo Schifo, who was fantastic for them. And it did come down to, it was like, isn't it last minute of extra time? David Platt scores that volley.
Extra time, yeah. Yeah, Gaza pings the free kick in from, I don't know, 30, 45, 50 yards out.
Yeah.
With a diagonal. And it sort of drops over Platty's shoulder. And he's sort of on the swivel, doesn't he? Just kind of hooks it in over the keeper and just quality. Awesome. Like, as kids playing headers and volleys, we would try and recreate that in the park all the time. Like, just brilliant stuff. Great memories of it.
No, it was good.
And another memory would be like the graphics. Remember, they would come up, the little dots up the side, and the way the name of who scored would come up, which they used in Italian football for a bit. Another like memory, just like, oh man, just it looked good. It looked good.
It was good. It was good. I will say this though. I'll read you this comment. I know I said this the other day. Absolutely, threw a spanner in the works and tried to break the dream of the Italia '90 World Cup. But the reality of it is that someone wrote an article in The Guardian that said that just basically scathing about how bad this tournament was and how miserable it was. And when you actually look at it from a footballing standpoint, it wasn't the best. Like, right. It was an average of 2.21 goals per game is the lowest ever at a World Cup. There was 16 red cards, which at the time was the highest amount of red cards, just because it was such a defensive setup. Mm-hmm. And then you said at the beginning as well, the pass back rule was still there. Yeah. And that got scrapped. That got scrapped after this. So that was a problem as well. But it just, there's so many things that will go against it. That sort of knocked the shine off the fact that this was a great World Cup for some of us.
I'm with you.
But again, you know what? When you look at this, think about and Chris made this point because we were talking about it today, and he'll be fuming that he's not the one to take the plaudits for this, but I'm gonna credit him, but also take the plaudits. And there's a reason why, and I know SAS said this before. There's a reason why there's the two number 10s on the back of the chair tonight. Is that this tournament, you can counteract all this negativity about how bad this tournament was, but you can literally say, you're right, okay, give me Italy's best ever player, arguably.
Baggio, Baresi.
Right, Baggio, Baresi, Ancelotti, Maldini, all played at this tournament. Okay, Argentina's best player ever,
Maradona,
played at this tournament. Belgium's arguably best ever player
at the time, Schifo,
played at this tournament. Yeah. Right, Robert Prozinecki, Yugoslavia at
the time, yeah.
Unbelievable player.
Young player of the year. Young player of the tournament, sorry.
Colombia's best ever player.
Valderrama. You might want to say Higuita if you're a bit wacky, or you're a goalkeeper.
Or Luis Diaz after this week, to be fair.
Yeah.
But no, all these Germany.
Matthias Beckenbauer's managing the team, right?
Klinsmann played. They all played in this tournament. So the players with Holland.
Van Basten, who may or may not have been a bit injured, but Hullet was there. Koeman.
Van Basten, Hullet, Koeman, Rijkaard, all these players, the top players. Ireland.
Paul McGrath. Romania. Hadji.
England.
Where do we start? I mean, John Barnes, Garinlica, Platty, Gaza, like, right before. Unbelievable
talent. Roger Miller, Cameroon. Like, think about this. Like, everyone says it. Everyone goes, like, the negativity. We should post this article, but the negativity around it as well is the same. But it's just one of those things where it was unbelievable. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like there's so much to counteract it.
I think
it really is.
If we experienced that tournament as 18, 19, 20-year-olds in the pub with our mates, we could be a lot more negative about it and a lot more disgruntled about it. I think because we were 9 and it was just magic, wasn't it? I think that for me overrides everything else. Brazil had a great team. It's hard to pick a Brazilian best player in it because there's so many.
Romario, even that one. You had Careca. Sorry, my dog's having a bit of a moment here. Careca. She's saying, who are you saying? Romario.
Sound like
There's
Mario.
all sorts. Yeah, she was saying Mario and all sorts.
Lot of quality, and I'm sure you could pick it apart for every tournament. But this really, when you look at it from that perspective, it really is a massive talent pool that we were going to see for those next 4, 5, 6 years, really dominating whichever teams they were on. Yeah, no, it was really good. It was really good, wasn't it? So we can all assume that it was really, really good. The correct answer to the question. Yeah, look, see, your dog's going for it now because he can hear our dog shouting. I just got to mute her for a little bit. I wish I could. So, all right. So, listen, the answer to the question, or the question was, which 4 countries competed? I think there's a couple of statos in the comments today, so they're getting them all right as well. The answers are West Germany, Czechoslovakia, I hope I've spelt that right, Yugoslavia, which broke up into all sorts, and then the USSR, Soviet Union. They all played under that name for the last time in this tournament. All right. Well done to those who got it right. Before we go to the semis and the final, what was the name of the 1990 World Cup mascot? If anyone gets this. It wasn't Mario and Luigi. It was not Mario and Luigi, correct. That would be incredibly cultural appropriation. Right. All right, okay. So, first time, interesting stat about this one, right? Only the second time this has happened. The other time was in 1970. Only the second time that all 4 teams in the semi-finals had won the tournament before. Right? Yeah. And not since either, yeah. Yeah, it hasn't happened since. So England, Germany, Italy, Argentina. And I know people have been saying it already, but this caused absolute murder, right, in the comments. Or in the stadium, because the game against Italy played Argentina in Naples. Yeah. So you can imagine, like, how crazy that must have been for Maradona. Well, he even was convinced that the Italians were going to cheer for him because he thought. I mean, he was beloved, and he still is beloved by them, right? But at that point, they obviously had to pick their country over another country. But yeah, he was definitely convinced that they were going to be on his side as opposed to against him. But yeah, no. And then they had the wizard that was Salvatore Schillaci for Italy. Couldn't get it done though, could he, in that game? No. And then there's a World Cup Jamie Vardy rags to riches story right there, right? Because he was, oh my god, was he 29? And I think he played once or twice before, and they take a gamble on him and he's top scorer. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, he did. This is another thing about Argentina this whole tournament. They were just absolutely on one leg, literally. Like I mean, but Maradona will play through anything, wouldn't he? And then we come to Schillaci as well. When you talk about Schillaci scored 6 goals, got the golden boot, but also got the golden ball for the best player. Yep. Which was insane. And then, all right, I'm going to leave it over to you for the England stuff because I know you love this. You want to talk about this England semi-final? You still heartbreak? Heartbreak. The first of many, right? The first of many. So we ended up, as we always do, going to penalties and losing to the Germans on penalties. But we'll bring it back to the start. And it was just like a game that, as a 9-year-old, I remember really well. Even though, I mean, you see the replays and everything else, but I remember it. I remember, thinking how hard Germany were going to beat and how good they were. And it just seemed like we were never going to be quite good enough. And when Germany take the lead, right? So it's a free kick, right? That is deflected. And this, maybe I've missed this in my 45 years, but this is something, and maybe I'm a weirdo. I don't know why we are not more upset at Paul Parker. Because if Paul Parker sees this, I apologise, but Paul Parker stands still, the ball doesn't deflect off of him, and then Shilton doesn't get lobbed, and we can talk about that in a second. And it drives me mad every time I see the replay. Paul Parker does not need to charge down the free kick. It doesn't hit him. It doesn't loop up. It doesn't go in. We win 1-0, and then we lose the final instead, but that's another story. But so that bothered me. Shilton then obviously should have saved it anyway, because I mean, there's about that much space between the crossbar and the ball going in, right? As it's looped over his hand. He's back.
Just another example of him not jumping. If another one. If Chris was here, he'd be fuming.
Right.
Yeah, right. It's just another example. It's just another example of.
He obviously had bad knees, didn't he? But so we're 1-0 down against the team that were the best team in the tournament, and then Lineker's goal comes in, and again, you remember it vividly. The ball gets pinged over from the right side of midfield. He takes a touch that might be a bad touch. I don't know. He's going to claim it's the best touch in the world, but it kind of comes off of his right thigh, whether he means to or not, pushes out to his left, then left foot drills it across the keeper into the far side with like 10 minutes to go. And it's like, all right, we're in this now, and we are. And it was just a great finish. Because I think Lineker scored 4 goals as well that tournament, right?
Yeah.
So, which is a great return for him from 86 to 90. And then we were there, right? Chrissy Waddle hits the post in extra time. And
it bounces across the goal as well. It bounced out, didn't it? Straight back where it came from.
There was chances to win it. And then the most iconic moment, I think, for any Englishman since 1990 is Paul Gascoigne, who has become the country's hero, our first superstar, or in our era, right, our first superstar. He's a clown, but he's a maverick, and he's just phenomenal. And he gets a very harsh yellow card. He's gone for the ball. He's caught the guy. He puts his hands up. He says, I'm sorry, because he knows back then he's already on a yellow card from a previous game. They don't wipe him clean like they do now. So that second yellow card means he will miss the World Cup final if we get there. There it is. And his lip starts to quiver, and he's emotional. And then again, for me, the image of Gary Lineker that comes on the screen is like he's looking at you on the camera, but he's like doing the eye and to Bobby Robson to like just have an eye. He's a bit iffy, and fair play to Gaza. He stayed on, he kept his composure, he scored a penalty, didn't he, in the shootout?
Yeah.
And then we lose on penalties, and I'll come to the penalties in one sec, but the Gaza crying, I remember then we had t-shirts, and it was that image of him crying, and it was tears of a clown, wasn't it? That was the...
Well, isn't it always the same? Like we talked about Beckham in '98 a couple of weeks ago, and it's the same thing, isn't it? Like he just got victimized again, didn't he? Yeah. Like it's just, and then everyone who misses a penalty gets victimized. And like Sal makes a good point there in the comments about there was a lot going on before this tournament. Like people wanted Robson gone.
Oh yeah, we weren't great up until the World Cup. We came second in qualifying, and it just happened to be that our group had 2 qualifiers from it. Other groups only had 1. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
it wasn't the greatest, but yeah, the penalties. I mean, Stuart Pearce, so reliable right from the spot for Forest, and he just doesn't catch it right. And then Chrissy Waddle. There was actually, I forget what I heard, but they said that in the quarterfinal, Chrissy Waddle had the mullet, and for the semi-final, he had a haircut. So the mullet was the power, and if he hadn't cut his hair, he'd have been better weighted, and he'd have kept his body over the baller, and it'd have stayed under the bar.
To be fair, he's hit that ball so hard, it's probably still going. If anyone's seen that penalty, that's gone over already, hasn't it? Like, I mean, it's such a shame. But again, same one. Him and Pearce just got Pearce obviously got it back after Euro 96.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got battered in the press as well after that. Yeah. All right, so England get knocked out on penalties. The first of a long line of disappointments on penalties for England over the years.
Credit to the Germans. They were clinical. Shilton didn't do a great job, but they were clinical.
You're just playing up to Morgs here. I'm surprised he's not even in the comments on his phone. But so England get bounced out. Italy get bounced out, much to the chagrin of everybody in Naples. Maradona gets victimised.
On penalties as well.
on penalties as well. And then England get bounced in the third place game. Italy win. Scalacci does score in that game. England lost 2-1, I think, in that game. Is that right?
Platty scored.
Yeah.
And actually, just to let you know, that Shilton being the beef house he is, he wouldn't let Dave Besant play because Bobby Robson was going to give Dave Besant a game, and Shilton wouldn't let him.
Well, Dave Besant, there's another line as well. Like, even when it got to penalties, they were going to bring Dave Besant on to save the penalties because he had a better record. Remember, he saved the penalty in '88 in the cup final against Liverpool, famously, when they beat Liverpool.
Was he on the bench though? Because it was also a weird tournament, wasn't it, where they couldn't name all 22, could they?
I thought they could. I thought he was one that they could bring on, and they were going to.
I thought, because who was the other goalie? Chris Woods?
Yeah, it would have been Chris Woods, yeah.
But I'd have to double check that. But I thought 1990 they actually named like a subs bench. But I could be wrong.
No, you might listen. You're the stato here, Jay. You know what? You know more than me. You know more than me.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, right? It would have been brilliant but anyway.
Yeah. So and then all right. So then we get to the final. Relatively boring final, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't all that. Andreas Bremer, who it's crazy. Like, Andreas Bremer passed away this past year. Am I right?
Yeah, this year or last year. Yeah, within the last year or so. Yeah.
And he scores the penalty that wins it 1-0. Maradona can't get over the line. I think that kind of signaled the downfall of Maradona for me a little bit.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
he kind of falls off a cliff a little bit, doesn't he?
Like you said, they were hit with injuries. You know, the comment came in that he was playing with a torn ligament and stuff. So we all know that, you know, you don't want to, when you're that kind of player, you can't miss the World Cup, and you can't miss the World Cup final. And unfortunately, the truth is, when you're not fully fit, you're not going to be the same player you are. So
yeah,
Argentina were poor. I think they had one shot on target in the whole game. And yeah, it was definitely a dour final. And more memorable for the first red card in a World Cup final. Pedro Monzon, if I'm saying that right, he got a red card. And then at the very end of the game, they got a second player sent off. Gustavo Dezov, if I'm saying that right.
Almost certain that it's correct, yeah.
Dezov. Easier to pronounce Argentinian names than Italian names, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Cagliari or American Italians who score the goals. Yeah. But there's Germany there. I think I want to say Bremer is the lad bottom left next to Mateus with the trophy.
Yeah, you got Bremer next to Mateus. Karl-Heinz Riedler, I think, is the head right behind the goalie Bodo Illner.
Yeah. Klinsmann is behind in between. Bremer and Mateus up at the back.
Yeah.
Rudi Voller bottom left. Yeah.
Thomas Hassler.
Who's the geezer above the keeper? Above Riedler and the keeper. Who was that? He looks like a German Jackie Charlton.
He looks like Dave Prager.
Could be a shout as well.
Were you playing for Germany in 1990? I don't know. I need to see a number, and I can't see number.
Yeah, that is true. That is one of the best World Cup kits of all time. Yeah. It was a belter on it. But, you know, that was a good one. Off the back of this tournament, I know we took... Actually, you know what? Before we get to the back of this tournament, what was the name of the mascot? 1990. I'm going to give a shout out here, by the way, because do you know the name of the mascot?
I do. So
does your missus upstairs.
Oh.
I know. Ciao. It was Ciao.
She thinks she's Italian as well, mind.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all these American Italians. There's Sal as well. He'll probably crack on now. Yep, it was Ciao. It was a stick figure in the colours of the Italian tricolour. And then that figure, for those people who are absolute nerds like we are, it was basically the figure for the Italian football show, wasn't it? In England for years.
Yeah, it would turn into the 4, wouldn't it? It was brilliant.
Oh, it was amazing. Amazing. And then off the back of this, sometimes we talk about players. Chrissy Waddle, this is a question, was Chrissy Waddle at Marseille before this tournament? Or did he get his move to Marseille after this tournament?
He was at Marseille.
Was he? Because I know
Baggio. The screen.
I know Baggio got a move to Juventus after this, 8 million, and at the time was a record. So Baggio went to Juventus after this, and then the rest was history. But it's good talking about the World Cup, isn't it, mate? That's kind of it, isn't it? We've got to the end of it.
And Gaza, I think that was a catalyst for Gaza and Lazio. I know he had another year with Tottenham, didn't he?
That was it, yeah.
Before he went, but I think that was the catalyst to get him going. And then Lineker went to Japan, didn't he? But that was more an end of his career.
Lineker got his move off the back of 86, didn't he? I think he was messing around at the back of 86,
yeah. Yeah, Japan, Grand Passate, right? But yeah.
Grand Passate, yeah. But no, that's it. All right, lads, listen. That's us. That's been World Cup 1990. I know Chris would have liked this to be about an hour and a half, but again, hopefully someone sticks 50p in the meter in Detroit and he can come back and he can put the kettle on and have a cup of tea. I'm sure he'll have plenty to talk about when he comes on tomorrow's show. Tomorrow we will have the EPL Thursday preview show with myself and Chris, maybe another guest if we can get him involved at the time. I know Leeds Bob was well received last week, so he may make an appearance. As ever, if you haven't done already, subscribe at EPL Across the Pond, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everything you can get your hands on social media, we are there. This has been World Cup Wednesday. Jay, top man, thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure. Love it.
We will be back with World Cup Wednesday next week, and we'll see you tomorrow for Thursday preview show. Take it easy, guys. Have a good night.
Guys.